It is April 4th in the year 2026. 4, 4, 4, 4, 8, 8, 16, 32, 64, 128. Calling forth the power of the 144,000. Calling forth the masters of the inner planes that will defend humanity in spirit until we draw our last breath. We will not stop fighting for the future of the human species. It is in this day, ladies and gentlemen, in which I have felt great power. Some of the greatest power that I have ever felt in my life. I just came from Walmart. And it is there in which I told those people what is to come. As I marched and I walked without fear, as I did a radius, no one stopped me. A few people looked, but they wanted none of what I had to say. And only a brown man smiled at me. 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 And that was the only smile that I received. As I say to this town through my megaphone, you do not have the authority to destroy America. You do not have the authority, you do not have the right to destroy a 6,000-year civilization because of your false flags, because you refuse to grow up to the truth about 9/11, because you're a closet neo-Nazi who refuses to acknowledge that Afghans can be peaceful. And this is the truth about a lot of people on the left, why they hate 9/11 truthers, because they want to blame Afghans. They want to blame brown people for what is obviously being done by their brothers and fathers. There is no left or right when it comes to racism. There is one form of racism stomping on the third world. The only created a left and a perception of a difference to save face. If you don't think that my life matters, if you can't find value in my content, I can't find value in your ethnocentric attitudes that fear me. So, this will be explained to you, little girls. You are facing 2100. They're gonna kill the earth by 2100. You can't just nuke the world. It doesn't work that way. It doesn't work that way. You just can't nuke the world and have a future. You have to turn the beat around and you have to bring in new forms of life, like the forms of life that you culled. This is what needs to be taught to people on the earth. You are not authorized to have an ethno-state, and the only reason they're creating an ethno-state is for the aliens, is for the fallen angels, because once they have an ethno-state by 2045 and 2050, the gates of hell will open and they will drink the blood of the Americans. That's what these demons and Satanists are doing. They're working on behalf of demons that want to eat us. And I will not tolerate people with a soft spot in their heart for the vampires. But I've met them, and I've read their books. There are white women in America that have empathy for the great aliens that annually rape them. I'm not kidding. I can give you citations. I have the receipts. They're a Stockholm syndrome from the alien rapists that rule our world. I have the receipts. I am Superman to some of you women that are out there listening, because men in the New Age movement don't have real... You think David Wilcox could even last half a second even talking to me? The guy would start breaking down in tears just because you heard the sound of my voice. Now, what type of women would hold up a David Wilcox when he promotes the alien agenda? When he goes from Obama to Trump, what kind of a woman would hold up a David Wilcox over me? An alien hybrid, where it's all about the blonde hair and blue eyes. You aren't wanted here if you don't want this truth being brought up. You aren't wanted here if you're a closet Nazi. You aren't wanted here if you deny the truth about 9/11. You aren't wanted here if you have a soft spot in the heart for the neo-Nazis. You aren't wanted here if you claim to be against white supremacy, but you don't know about the Reichstag fire, where Adolf Hitler staged terror attacks. You're a joke if you think you're anti-Nazi or know what the Nazis were and don't know that they staged terror attacks. You're a joke, and you're a clown, along with your entire media organization. What you're doing with these media organizations by not telling the truth from Willamette to the others is you're holding up white supremacy. All I am is a fucking entertainer to you. That's the reason that you haven't unsubscribed yet. You don't help the voiceless. You don't help women that are being human trafficked. You dominate the conversation and you make sure that it's only white people that are interviewed. You're bad people in Portland. You're bad people in Portland. You're bad people in Portland. Talk to me and tell me that my life have value, and I'll stop saying that you're 100% on that side, because I want to see one of you rise to the occasion, okay? You Portland women should listen up. You're wrong, and you've always been wrong for judging my anger. This is about energy and ethnicity. Y'all women love the death metal. Metallica, all that. That is disgusting. That is extremely rageful and terrifying. Okay, so don't you ever go there with me that my anger is not justified. It is justified. I am angry, right, at your silence and the fact that you're holding up barbaric men on the planet that are involved in the destruction of the earth. Okay, I'm tired of it. I'm tired that you're killing us. And I'm tired that you don't care about good men and that you continue, ladies, you continue to act like you're the ones who understand what's best to fight the oppressor or the patriarchy. And what you're doing when you do that is you're isolating yourself from psychic men that can give you advice. And so that is the way God set it up. When we're on our own and we don't have other people in our lives, we have blind spots and we can't see certain things that are taking place. We can't see certain atrocities that are taking place, but they are taking place, and they're taking place now. So yeah, I'm going to close by just talking about how the energy is really powerful now. The energy is really strong. And I just came from Walmart and I went in there ranting and talking about 2100, and nobody stopped me because I had a powerful aura and a powerful chi, and I left and I didn't talk to anybody directly, and nobody challenged me, and they acted like I wasn't there. Okay, so the type of energy that I felt that I was vibrating to was the Matrix. It was very serious. It is very real. And this powerful energy can be retransmuted to powerful spiritual work. So no PMO, 90 days was done, right? Not just to rise above lust, but to actually see if I could demonstrate superpowers. Now, the idea of superpowers isn't typically going to be something that people believe in. Above average abilities or intentions, or capabilities or intelligences. So we are in a dumbed down world. So when you look at certain research, you won't necessarily find research that tells you that you will have borderline superpower abilities if you take away certain things that have been draining your energy since you were 14 years old, as I have. And so because I wasn't raised right, and I wasn't taught how to cook, and was just pretty much kicked out of the house, once I developed the stiffy, we're not actually raised right how to live in the body, how to be centered in the body, how to be disciplined in the body, how to retain in the body. And so now we have to go to YouTube, for those of us that didn't have parents, and learn the basics of life in order to preserve what we have left in our time here, which is why I see myself as a parent of children. And so in a big way, I am a parent of children, of daughters around the world through the internet, but I'm not a parent in the real world, but I'm a strong person. So there's no doubt in my mind that I am a teacher, that I am powerful. And this is why I have faced the interference in my life. And it's getting really old. I'm really tired, right? But the lack of love in my life has hardened me to a reality to where I can see what's taking place. And so hopefully in time, I can attract to me the right people that want a real man to say what needs to be said, because you got to be strong. So I megaphoned also the grocery store, and I wanted her to hear what I had to say. I wanted her to hear what I had to say that she wouldn't listen to. So the reality of the megaphone and why megaphones are important is because we live in a world where women won't talk to us, essentially. And so we have to megaphone the women. We have to, find people on the internet, that claim to be spiritual, that claim to be journalists, that claim to not be into racism, that claim to be truthful. And then we need to, I add them to the newsletter. And so this is part of an ongoing test. And as we hit the threshold of 3 months in, we're now 3 or 4 months in, zero engagement from the audience. Once we hit 6 months, once we hit 9 months, once we hit a year, it's pretty much confirmed, right, that I'm dealing with something that is very corrupted as far as genetics. Now, I'm already convinced, but I'm holding out for a hero in case anybody wants to come in, and change my worldview. But I actually think that white people are going to benefit from what I'm doing with highlighting these corrupted genetics. The idea that the reptilians aren't necessarily like a crazy theory or aliens that are invading. It's maybe something that you need to, look into when you're looking at yourself in the mirror. For those with no compassion, for those with no empathy, for those that feel nothing when innocent people die, I think that we've discovered the reptilian invasion or the alien invasion. And so that's what's going on here on the Earth plane. And so when you're talking about it from that perspective, and you're not talking about it from one race versus the other, and you're talking about like God versus the devil and what the devil and the minions are doing to the Earth and the Earth plane to colonize it, that's a whole other level than what a lot of people are able to do. And nobody in ufology ever, in white Americana, discusses the alien agenda using white supremacy to colonize white people. So they've implanted them. I'm basically on a prison planet full of implanted slaves that don't have the DNA strands to have an understanding of what I'm saying. They don't use the comment section unless they're insulting and they're attacking. These are all, and that includes the Muslims. So this is the sign of the end. Believe that you are going to do powerful things in the afterlife. So we're talking about educating the human species with the knowledge that we accrued in the body from the afterlife. Can you hear me now? And then sometimes I am talking to specific people. And then after a few months, I realize, trying to get that person to contact you, trying to impress that person isn't working. And what it is with a lot of you is that we're in 2026. And the old you from 2009 might actually talk to me, and interview me. Because it has happened in the past. And something happened on the way to 2025 that has made me totally irrelevant. And it's shocking because I think I'm a better speaker. What I think is the intelligence is intimidating. They're like, we haven't seen something like this. This guy is totally crazy because of the rate that he speaks. No, you're confusing somebody with a superior brain for being manic or mental illness due to our genetic differences. I'm a fighter. Okay, and my voice is so loud that if you and your children were being invaded by rapists, if I was in your home and I had a megaphone, they would not enter the house. Do you understand what I'm saying? If you had a village somewhere and you were off grid and there were gangsters nearby and I was on the megaphone, they would never come near your land in Sedona if a warrior was there. Do you hear me now? Now, do you understand that this whole thing is me just trying to survive and not die? And that's really sad, actually, that a man like me that has this intelligence is doing all this stuff to just not die. I do believe that I am deserving of life and that 1 out of 100 of you is capable of helping me and that you know people with money on top of it. So you have the ability to help me help your people. Okay? You have the ability within you to help me help your people. But if you're going to maintain a secular, atheistic, there is no evil, while evil rises through Donald Trump while they rape women and they talk about, these horrible things, then you can't be helped and you'll never help me. If that's the case. If you're going to maintain a secular, there is no evil, everything is just neutral from the journalist perspective. We can't consider 911. Those people are just bad. We can't consider that Alex Jones is an intelligence agent of the new Nazi party. If you can't consider those things, then you don't have a chance in the future. And I don't think a lot of people do, but America's going to break down and there may be spots of freedom. If we are together and we are strong when there's solar flares, we can get homes built in a short amount of time if there's a man who knows how to build, who can direct me with my massive muscles that can lift all of you up and throw everybody over the mountain. I'm just saying that metaphorically to remind you that I'm a strong-ass dude for a small body, meaning we can do a lot to build our own homes. I'm not understanding what the problem is. Were some of you born into great wealth or something? Opulence? I know my mom was. But when you're born into opulence, you don't really have the empathy for people that have nothing, and so that's what needs to happen. So the question is, does America need to completely collapse for people to grow a heart? Do we really need to experience the solar flare meltdown or takedown? That's what I'm seeing here.